We begin today the Gemara on Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis, the last two lines from the bottom of the Yomah. The Gemara is discussing the halachas of a chazakeh and a karka. And before the Gemara here was discussing when a person buys a property, he buys only the trees of the property, and he's not actually buying the property itself. So the Gemara continues on this halacha. Omri nerdoi, in nerdoi it was said, Hai man dezoven diklo lechavrei, a person that sells just one palm tree to his friend. So, as we learned before here, the Rashbam brought what it says in the Mishnah later in this Masechta, that when you buy one or two trees in a property and you're not buying the property itself, so then you get just that tree. You don't really have any rights to any of the ground around the tree. So, but nevertheless, Nerdoi said, Konile, he does acquire that tree itself, Mishipule at Tahaima, from the lowest place under the ground, all the way down to the Tahaim, to the abyss, meaning in that actual area of the tree itself, all the way down below under the ground is his. Even if in this case, the halach is that he doesn't get any area around for the work that he needs to do, he'll have to buy rights for that separately, but nevertheless, in the actual place of the tree, he is kind of all the way down. What that means is, there's two things that are relevant here. Number one, if this tree dies, he can replant that tree in that spot, because that spot all the way down is his. And number two, if the owner of the property still wants to do any work here and he wants to dig under his tree, even 1,000 amos below, if he wants to dig, he's not allowed. And that area under his tree belongs to him. Ask if what Rav asks on this, why should we say this? V'lei melei, if a person is selling someone a single tree in a property and he's not selling him any of the property, so why can't he tell him, Korkeme derishke zevinilach? I'm selling you a korkeme derishke. This is a saffron, I think it is. How do they try? Yes, a saffron bush that is a kind of bush that grows. It grows for 3 years, 4 years, and then it dies, and then you uproot it and you take it away. It's a bush that doesn't last for too long. So here as well, what Rav is saying is, why can't the one that sold him this tree say to him, I only sold you this tree? Just like we say that he doesn't own any other area around the tree, and it's just this tree, so I sold you this tree for what it is, for the time period that it produces fruits. When the tree dies, then it's over. Then you don't have any rights in the actual ground itself. When the tree dies, just like this bush, once it dies, so then it's over, then it doesn't last for too long. So this tree as well, whenever it's going to die, so you uproot it, and then you have nothing here. So therefore, Rava disagreed with the way it was quoted before in the name of Nerdoi, that you have the whole rights under the ground and you can replant in that area. So therefore Rava says, rather, it depends what the deal was when you bought this tree. If this person now has been there with this tree in this property for a period of time, and he comes and says, now Ataina, I didn't just buy this tree, a single tree, the way people usually buy a single tree. Usually when a person buys a single tree, it's just a tree, and he has no rights to replant there. But I bought this tree, and there was a clear stipulation that I'm buying the tree with the rights to replant in this area, because the whole ground under this tree is mine. And so he's coming with this Taina, that was the deal of the sale. Now in such a case, when a person buys a tree with that deal, so then if he's going to be there for 3 years, so now he has a chazakah. And then that he can claim this, that this area, this tree, and under here is mine, and I am here forever to plant my tree here and replant here. And so that's after 3 years you establish that chazakah. You don't need a star anymore. That you can claim this. So Mark Shisha, the son of Rav Chisda, says to Rav Ashi about this kind of case where a person buys one tree, and it's possible for him to now come and claim that the deal was that I have the rights to this tree forever to plant here. So if that's the case, what's if he did only sell him just a tree, like a person that buys this saffron bush that is there for a while and then dies, and then you take it away, you have nothing else. So what's if he taka only bought the tree with no additional stipulation that he has the right to replant in that area? And now he comes and claims that no, there was a deal when I bought it that I have the rights to plant here. So then what should the seller do here? If you're saying that a person has the ability to claim this, and then he can establish a chazakah later, and he won't even have to have a shtar to show, to prove that there was this special stipulation, so then what is the seller supposed to do to prevent the person of claiming this? Answers the Gemara, that's why we say that regarding every chazakah, you have to protest within 3 years. You have to announce and make it clear that it's only the tree that's yours, and you have no kinyan, you have no rights in the ground itself. If you're not going to say so, if you're not going to say that you're able to be moiche in such a kind of case, so hani mashkante de surah. Similar question you can ask regarding a mashkin, the way it was done in the place in surah, which Chachamim instituted, and that is when a person borrows money and he can't pay back with money. So instead, he gives a property of his to the lender to use for a certain period of years. It could be 5 years or 10 years. And then after that time is up, you give back the property, and that's the payment of the loan. So what happens by the mashkanta de surah? The cost of bought, so you give the lender a document that I'm giving you this field, and here you write in it as follows: the mishlam shnaya elain, when these years are up, tepik da bala kesef. This field or this property will be returned to the borrower without any money, and that's the payment of the loan. But the problem now is, if the lender that's now using this field for this time period, for the payment of his loan, will hide that shtar, that it says clearly that it's only here for as a mashkin, and he'll come now and claim that I acquired this land, so will he be believed? Seemingly he should be, if there's no shtar here, and he's been in this field for more than 3 years, so he now has that ability to come and claim that he bought it, and then he has a chazakah. He doesn't have to show any shtar for this. So could that mean that Misakni Rabbanon, or the Bachir adds, if you would argue, yes, he could establish a chazakah, but could it be that Misakni Rabbanon Milsa Dasabel Adei Pseida would Chachamim institute that you can pay a loan in this way with this property, and this can lead to a loss to the borrower that now the lender can claim that it's all his? So this is very similar to our case where a person buys a tree, and usually you buy the tree, you have no rights in the land at all. But here it could be a case where there was a stipulation and he has the rights in the karka itself. So over here as well, this person can come and claim that I bought it. Say, Allah, the answer is that if you're a borrower and you're giving this lender, this mashkin, for this period of time, during those years, once every 3 years, you have to make it a point to announce, to be meicha, that this is yours, that it belongs to the borrower. Here as well, if you're selling a person just a tree in your field and he's going to be using this tree for 3 years, you better make sure to announce that you own the tree, but not the ground itself. And therefore, when it dies, he's going to have to take away his tree from here. There are 3 different lands, or three different areas in Eretz Yisrael regarding the halacha of a chazakah. So as we learned here regarding the halacha of a chazakah, when a person is there 3 years and he gets a presumptive status that he's the owner and he doesn't have to show a shtar that he bought the field, the chazakah is always premised on the fact that the previous owner had the opportunity, had the ability to protest against you being there for 3 years. And therefore, after the 3 years, if you lost the shtar, you can say that I lost the shtar and this person was quiet all this time, so therefore now I'm the owner. Now it's a raya that I'm the owner. But if it's a situation where the previous owner had no opportunity b'chlal to be meicha against you, he didn't know, he wasn't there, he didn't have the ability to be meicha against you. So the fact that you were there 3 years and it was quiet and no one was meicha, it's not going to be a chazakah. Why did you lose your shtar? Because he was quiet all this time, but he was in a place that he couldn't speak up against you being here. So then it won't be a chazakah. So in connection to this, the Mishnah says that there are 3 different areas in Eretz Yisrael in relation to chazakah. There's Yehuda, the area of Yehuda in Eretz Yisrael, the Eivera Yarden, then there's the other side of the Yarden, the Mizrach side of the Yarden, Va'Galil, and then in the north of Eretz Yisrael, in the Galil. And now in such a case, Haya bi Yehuda, if the previous owner of this field was in Yehuda, and Vehichsik beGalil, and you are occupying his field for 3 years in a different area, in the north of Eretz Yisrael, in Galil, or beGalil, the owner was in Galil, the previous owner was in Galil, Vehichsik bi Yehuda, and you're coming now and being machzik in his field in Yehuda. Ain't a chazakah. In these cases, it's not a chazakah. Unless the one that owned this field and you that are being machzik in this field now for 3 years are going to be in the same country, in the same area in the country that is here, that he knows about it, then he could make a macha, and the macha that he's going to make will reach you. And therefore, there's a point to the macha. So then, if he wasn't meicha for 3 years, and now you lost your shtar, so you can say that I didn't hold on to the shtar because he didn't say anything for 3 years, and therefore I have a raya that it's mine. As was explained already before in Daf Chavtes. Okay, that's the Tanakama. Now, Amar Rabbi Yehuda argues, and Rabbi Yehuda says that's not how it works with chazakah. You don't have to have the ability that the chazakah should be in a oifen, that the owner should be in a place that he's able to make a macha, that it will reach you immediately. You know why the chazaka, you wait 3 years until you can get a status of a chazaka, that this is your field. Why 3 years? The reason is, Ela Kidei Shiyeh Baspamya, that even if the owner of this field is very far, he's in Aspamya, and V'yachsek Shana, and now you're there, you're occupying his field for a year, and Ayelcha V'yadiyu Shana, then people will go and let him know for a year about what's happening, that this person is here in your field for a year, and then V'yaveh L'shana Acheres, and then you give him another year to be able to travel back and come and make a macha against you. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda says a macha does not work unless the person that's being meicha against you, it comes b'fanav, comes and is meicha to you to your face. If he's meicha to you somewhere else, it's not going to work. He has to be right over there and come and be meicha in your presence. And that's the reason why the chazaka is 3 years. Not like we learned before that chazaka, you have to wait 3 years, because until 3 years, there's a question on you, where's your shtar? Person doesn't lose the shtar up to 3 years. Rabbi Yehuda says it has nothing to do with losing the shtar. It's in order to give the previous owner the opportunity to be meiche, even if he's in a very far place. And the Chazal will mishayir that 3 years is that greatest distance possible, that it should take a person time to come back and make a macha in front of the one that's being machzik. Okay, so now the Gemara explains the opinion of the Tanakama. Let's see, the Gemara will explain the opinion of the Tanakama. It says the Gemara, "My kasava Tanakama." What does the Tanakama hold regarding this that the chazaka is when the previous owner did not make a macha? How does that macha have to be made? Does he have to make it in a way that it's going to be in front of the one that's machzik or not? If he holds that the one that's making a macha against you using his field doesn't have to be in your presence, wherever he is, he makes the macha, and we just rely on the fact that news will travel to you and you'll hear about this macha. So if Yehuda v'galol nami, so then even if you're in Yehuda and you're being machzik in his field in Yehuda and he's in Galil, it should work as well. Even if he's far away in 2 different sections of Eretz Yisrael, why should it matter? It doesn't have to be b'fanav. Wherever he makes the macha, the news will travel back to you, and you'll know that you can't just let go of your shtar. Someone is challenging the ownership of this field. If the Tanakama holds that the macha shalei b'fanav is not a good macha, so then I'll fill it Yehuda nami loy. So then even if you're in Yehuda and Yehuda v'Yehuda, even if you're in the same section of Eretz Yisrael, but he's not right in front of you, it's in 2 different cities in Yehuda, in the center of Eretz Yisrael, but he's in a different city, so then it shouldn't be a good macha. Why is the Tanakama saying only if he's in a totally different area in Eretz Yisrael, he's all the way up in the north, even if he's in the same area, but he's in a different city, he's not facing you, he's not coming, making the macha b'fanav, it shouldn't be a macha either. We don't rely on the news traveling to you. So why is the Tanakama choosing Dafka to speak about Yehuda and Gol? And says the Gemara, so Rab Abba said in the name of Rav, really the Tanakama holds that the macha does not have to be in front of the one that's being machzik in the field. We rely on the news traveling back to the person that's in the field. We learned this already before. The Gemara said, the news travels from one friend to another. But in our Mishnah, when the Tanakama says that you can't be in Galil and make a macha regarding someone that's using your field in Yehuda, b'shas chayrim shana. It's a time where the Eretz Yisrael was divided in different areas, and there was sort of, it didn't get along. There was sort of a border between them, and it wasn't easy to travel from one area to another. When the Rashbam says a tager, when there's some kind of disagreement or whatever, the border. It's not easy to travel from one area to another. And therefore, in such a case, the macha won't be a macha. Usually, if you're meiche and you're not b'fanav, so then the macha, the news of it travels. But not in a case where there's a chedum, when there's a certain border where it's hard to travel from one area to another. Now, ma'ishna Yehuda v'Galil the nokit. So why is it mentioning Yehuda and Galil, that there's a chedum between Yehuda and Galil, and therefore the news won't travel? Theoretically, the same would be true anywhere. If there's between one city and another, that they don't get along with one another and people don't travel from one city and another, it could be the exact same halacha of the chedum. And so the Gemara, Kamash Malon, the Tana of the Mishnah is talking about Yehuda and Galil, is because this is what it's saying, the Stam, Yehuda v'Galil, Kishas chedum dami. That Yehuda and Galil, even when there is no actual fight or war going on between them, but the 2 areas of Yehuda and Galil are compared to a Shas chedum. That people don't travel from Yehuda to Galil, and therefore the message, the news of a macha, of a person that's in Galil, won't reach to the person that's in Yehuda. Okay. Okay, but it comes out we have the machlokes in our Mishnah between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda whether the macha has to be b'fanav or not. Tanakama holds it does not have to be b'fanav unless there's a chedem. Then the news doesn't travel. And Rabbi Yehuda holds no. The whole point of a chazaka being 3 years is because the macha does have to be b'fanav, and we give him time to travel and come back. Sagt the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Ein machzikin b'nichsei b'reiach. You can't be machzik and then be there 3 years and establish a chazaka if it's a property of somebody that escaped. He had to run away. And it's the person, as we'll see in the continuation of the Gemara, he ran away because of money matters, but he's not in any danger, and that he's not running away because of any danger. But he's away. He had to go away, and he's not in town. So you can't establish a chazakah by being in this person's property for 3 years. Now, what's Rav basically saying? Rav here is saying that we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah. Why can't you make a chazakah on a person that had to escape? Because now that person doesn't have the ability to be meicha against you, b'fanav, and the macha must be b'fanav. That's the halacha that Rav is basically saying. So when this halacha was repeated, that Rav said this, and said in front of Shmuel, Amali, so Rav Yehuda says, Shmuel told me, V'chi limcha is b'fanav u'tzarech. Does the macha have to be in front of the person that's being machzik? Doesn't have to. So Shmuel held like the Tanakama, we pass like the Tanakama. Rav, Maikam Ashmalon. So the Gemara says, so what was Rav saying when he said his halacha? Was he saying that Mecha Shalom B'fanav Lo Yavi Mecha? Was Rav saying like the halacha of Rabbi Yehuda that when you meiche, it has to be that if it's not in front of the person, then it's not going to be a good Mecha? But for Omar Rav, didn't Rav say before? We just learned in Omar Aleph when Rav was explaining what the Tanakhama says in the Mishnah. Rab Abba quoted Rav, and there he said that Mecha Shalom B'fanav Havi Macha, that when you meiche, even not in front of the person that's machzik, it is a good macha. As Rav explained, that unless it's a chedum, if you meiche in a faraway place, it's a good macha. And says the Gemara, no, Rav, Taime, the Tani, the Donka Mefarish. Before Rab Abba was quoting what Rav's explanation was to explain what the Tanakam is saying. That what does it mean, Dafki Yehuda and Galil, why not in any other place? So that's how Rav explained the Mishnah. But V'leile Svirele. Rav, however, doesn't hold to that. Rav paskin like Rabbi Yehuda that the macha must be b'fanav. Vekedamri, another version of Rav's opinion was the opposite. Rav Yehuda Amar Rav machzikin b'nichsei b'reiach. You could establish a chazakah in the property of someone that ran away, because that person has the chance to be meicha against you even when he's far away. Doesn't have to be b'fanav. So Kamei the Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda says, when I said this halacha of Rav in front of Shmuel, Amali, Shmuel responded, Pshita. It's obvious. We pass like the Chachamim. It's obvious that you don't have to make the macha in front of V'chi limcha is b'fanav u'tzarech. Does the macha have to be in front of the one that's actually there, being machzik in your field? We pass like the Chachamim. It's obvious. Now says the Gemara, V'Rav my kamash malon. When Rav spoke about this case of a person running away, what was the chiddush? Macha shalei b'fanav havi macha was the chiddush of Rav that the macha does not have to be in front of the one that's being machzik, but v'ha'amra Rav chadazimna. Rav already explained the ratio of the Mishnah, and according to this version, Rav explained the ratio of the Mishnah because Rav held like the Tanakam of the Mishnah. So Rav already said this halacha. So why is he saying again that when a person runs away, that you can be machzik in his property? Says the Gemara, here in the second statement of Rav, he's adding another din. If you're in a faraway place and you're being meiche in front of two people, in front of Eidim, you want to be meiche in front of Eidim because if you won't have the ability to bring witnesses later that you were meiche during the 3 years, then your macha is going to be worthless. You won't be able to prove it. So he was meiche in front of two people, but these are two people she'ein yechaylin leimalai. They themselves have no ability to go and bring the message to the one that he machzik in the karka. Let's say it's two people that are either they're either the Rashbam gives the example, either they are lame, they can't walk, they won't be able to go there to this person, to where he is, to tell him. Or in any other case, they don't have the ability, b'chlal, to go to that person to let him know about this macha. So nevertheless, Rav says, Havi macha, this will be a valid macha, even though they themselves can't go to let him know. But as we learned before, this message is going to go travel back to the person that's in the field by them telling their friend, and then someone else traveling back. So the macha shalei b'fanav is even in a case where they were meiche in front of someone that those people themselves can't tell them the message, but it's still, we rely on the fact that it's going to get back to him. That was the chiddush of Rav. In our Gemara it says de Omar, but the Rashbam here is good. The Bach brings that Omar Rav Onan said about this. L'didi mefarsheli minei demar Shmuel, that to me it was explained from Shmuel that he disagreed with this detail from the halacha that Rav said here. Micha b'fnei shnei b'nei adam she'chaylim loy malay. If you're far away from the one that's being machzik in your karka, and you're moiche in front of two people that they don't have the ability to go themselves and let him know, they have the ability to go and let him know, then avi macha, then it'll be a good macha. Micha b'fnei shnei b'nei adam she'ein chaylim loy malay. If you're being moiche in front of two individuals that do not have the ability to go and let him know, lo yavi macha. In such a case, it will not be a valid macha. So in this chiddush of Rav, Shmuel disagreed. And this is the reason why when Shmuel heard what the halacha that Rav said, Shmuel said it's pashut, because Shmuel thought that Rav was just simply saying that you can make a macha shalei b'fanav, and that's pashut. But really, Rav meant to be mechadish, a bigger chiddush that Shmuel disagreed with. That even when you're meiche in front of two people, that they cannot travel back to the person to let him know about this macha, the macha will still be a macha, but Shmuel holds it's not a macha. The Rishonim explain that the Shmuel is not disagreeing with the svara that Rav says, that even if the people that you're being meich in front of them can't go back to the one that's being machzik in the field, but then the message will get to other friends, and eventually someone will bring the news back to the one of the karka. Shmuel doesn't disagree with that. However, what Shmuel holds is that when you're meiche in front of two people that you know that these two people cannot go themselves, they're under the impression that the reason why he's being meicher dafke in front of us and not in front of anybody else is because he doesn't want us to tell anyone else. He doesn't want us to go back to the person to let him know about this macha. So therefore, they don't end up sharing this macha, this news with anybody else, and therefore the message won't get back to the person that's machzik. That's why you can't rely on this macha. The Gemara explains, Rav holds chavra islay, v'chavra the chavra islay. That a friend has a friend, and your friend's friend also has a friend. So even if those can't travel, but others are going to travel as well. However, as I explained, Shmuel holds that the news may not travel back to him. Omar Rave, so Rave says about this halacha of macha. Hilchase, the halacha is ein machzikim b'nichse b'reyach. You can't be machzik in the property of a b'reyach. But on the other hand, macha shalei b'fanov havi macha. When the one is moiche, and even if it's not in the presence of the one that's being machzik in your karka, it is a valid macha. Frek the Gemara, Tarti, you're saying two statements that are a contradiction. If the macha does not have to be a befanov, so if someone had to run away and he's not in front of you, why can't you be machzik? He has the opportunity to be moiche wherever he is. And the Rashbam actually before in the sugi here said that beireach here, that the Gemara says, the way we understand it until now, it's lav dafke beireach. Beireach is just an example, but it's any time a person is in a place where he's far from you. And says the Gemara loy kasha, it's not a contradiction because kan beireya machmas mamin. This that we say that a machash loy b'fanav works is when a person had to escape because of a certain money matter. Let's say he owed someone money and he didn't have what to pay, so he ran away for a period of time in order not to have to pay. But he's not in a place of danger. He's able to be meiche. He doesn't care if people know about his whereabouts, so he's able to be meiche, and the machal will get back to you. But kan beireya machmas mardin. This that we said, ein machzikim b'nichse b'reyach. That's if someone had to run away because his life is in danger. Let's say he killed someone, and now he's afraid that the Goyal Adam will come and kill him. So he runs away and he hides, and he doesn't want anyone to know where he is. So now he doesn't have the ability to be moiche. It's in such a case that we say that by a beireyach, you can't be moiche. The machal won't work.